Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about the Kilo because I've been getting messaged like crazy. Did it get a stealth buff? And we're going to talk a little bit about where it sits in the meta, especially with those brand new nerfs coming through. If you do enjoy the video, learn something new, please do me a favor, hit the like button. Goal on today's video is 7,500 likes. So hopefully you guys can crush that number as you guys have been. And if you're brand new or just haven't yet subscribed, double check. Make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. If you're looking to find your way back to the channel, because it's currently about 60% of you that haven't yet hit subscribe. We're getting much closer to 900K and then eventually 1 million subscribers. So there's a couple different ways that you can test this. One is you go into Plunder. Maybe you can do the math with the screenshot, see the damage values, whatever. Test it in regular match. There's a lot of different things you can do. But by far, one of the easiest thing is to just go ahead and click private match, do not now, and set up a loadout. And then you set it up with whatever it is. So in this particular case, I have a Kilo set up. And I want to test various damage ranges or damage values. I set that up, and then I go over here, back out of that, and then I go over here to go Battle Royale practice. When you click on this, it takes you into a match inquiry versus about 20 different bots. You get some money together, you buy your loadout. The loadout that you call in will match the one that we set up in the private match. And for this specific example, I already have the recording kind of set up. You obviously wouldn't need to record anything if you wanted to test this out for yourself, but I wanted to see the specific damage values. When I got my loadout, it was 882 damage has been dealt. And then when I come over here, I take a couple shots. It went from 882 up to 900, which is a damage of 18. Currently, the way that the Kilo is built is matches the multiplayer stats is that you can essentially do basic math. Do 250 divided by 18, and it'll be 14 shots to kill because this equals rounded up. It ends up still being 14 shots to kill. So it doesn't look like there's been any kind of buff on that end. So let's go ahead and talk about why people feel like it's been buffed. Obviously, I went through and I did the same thing for various damage values, headshot, because I get these types of requests in volume, especially when you see other YouTubers, TikTokers are very notorious. Literally, hey, this gun got a stealth buff out of nowhere. And it's like, well, did you really even test anything? It legit takes 5 minutes to test in a private match. Did you even do that? No. All right, just I feel like it's better, you know? It's kind of nonsense, especially when it's something as trivial as like this to test. You just spread misinformation when you do stuff like that. So here is an example I wanted to give because I think it does a really good example of being able to show what various ranges look like. The ranges that are important for the Kilo are 46 and 86, I believe, off the top of my head. So what happens is I wanted to show what a target looked like at 86 meters. This is where the damage goes from 11 shots and then crosses over 86 meters, and then it drops up to 14. Previously, before the integration, the Kilo used to do 9 damage up to 46 meters. Then it would be 11 shots everything after, even beyond this 86 meters. Then they decided to jump in and throw that average extra damage value to match the multiplayer. And then we end up with the situation where it goes from 9 shots up to 46. From 46 to 86, it ends up being the 11 shots. And then everything beyond 86 ends up being the 14 shots to kill. So pretty much if you ever take on a gunfight within 86 meters, it'll feel the exact way the Kilo has felt over the past year, essentially as if it has not been touched, because it'll still be 11 shots or less to kill. So here's kind of what it looks like so you guys can see that comparison of what the actual target looks like at range. So I come up, I mark the target, I'm like, no, that's not it. There's one a little bit further, and I kind of just mark it just so I can kind of give a general idea of what that target looks like and marking it at that distance. So if the gunfight's further than that, it's going to take 14 shots. If it's going to be closer, then it takes 11. And this doesn't really become an issue unless you're mainly going in a solo gunfight where you're shooting one individual target. If there's team shooting going on, it's going to feel like the Kilo melts just because people are taking off plates. Team shooting, it's going to end up being like 8 shots, 9 shots because somebody else landed a little burst with their AUG or M16. And that's kind of how that part goes. So with this gun, the recoil is almost non-existent. You're going to look at me just shooting here, and it's like it doesn't even move. There's no aim assist going on there. There's none of that stuff. I go ahead and shoot another thing. Hey, look at how it just does not move. There's no aim assist or any wonky. Literally, that's how you control the weapon. It's stupid easy on keyboard and mouse or controller. Like I said, it ends up being a noob friendly gun for that reason. If I want to just shoot somebody on that railing, even though there's no one there, literally it just does not move. It's one of the easiest guns in the game. So now let's go ahead and talk about the overall meta and why it is definitely not buffed in any other way. There's just statistically, it doesn't make sense. One thing we've done is we looked at Warzone ranked and we've seen this chart of the specific meta. But what happens is when you click on a specific weapon, you can see their KD of that general weapon. And you can see for the kilo, it is at 0.84, which means statistically, it is not good. The meta weapons are generally above a 1. You can see that all these weapons, the VLK Rogue, the borderline right there, 101, but it's such a small sample size. DMR, small sample size. Street Sweeper, again, small. AUG, 1.05. FFAR, 1.06. AMAX 1.12, definitely good. And then the M16. And these things balance a lot off of each other. And we take a look at the kilo for whatever reason. I mean, you're better off using the Grau or even the M4. But if we look at this, we can see the KD ratio over time. A lot of people started off using it. And then as soon as it became like the meta, because other stuff got nerfed, you could see it peak in usage, how often it was used. And now it's still maintained it. It's still like a top 5 chosen weapon for whatever reason. Like I said, a lot of the bodier players love it because it's just so easy to use. They don't challenge people at those ranges, so really the nerf didn't impact them. But we can see here it is one of the most balanced guns, and this is why it's such a good gun when it was the meta, because it allowed for so many other weapons to compete. Because whereas we have the AMAX, the AUG, the M16 with these like 1.1 KDs, these things peaked at like a 1.4, and you can see it steadily declined ever since. And you can see its KD ratio relative to other guns has dropped off significantly. It was top 4 when it was at its peak, top 4, top 5, and then now it is the 30th, 37. There's 36 other weapons that you could have a better KD, and that is almost half of the weapons in the game, which is astounding. Obviously, that number is a pretty real number. So like I was talking about, here's true game data, great graphs if you want to go ahead and check that out. But one thing I did want to point out is there are a lot of great options. I think the Ram 7, although it can be used at range, it takes too much skill. So that's why you never saw it. It is great as a sniper support. So that's why you're kind of seeing it more, because it's great from 0 to 40-ish meters. So we'll go ahead and cross that one off. AMAX we know is the meta, so that is the most dominant option, but it tends to have a little bit more recoil than people like. Slower bullet velocity, and people don't know how to adjust it, even though it is a dominant weapon. Then once we remove those, we end up with a really nice mix here. And you can see that the kilo does its thing, but the M4 just does it a little bit better for the most part in the up close. And even at range, it doesn't have that secondary drop off, and the distance between these TTKs is so negligible. We also have this. If we remove that, we still have the M13, which is kind of like halfway between it and the Grau. Like the Grau, but it performs better, especially once you get further range. Kilo performs right in here, 70 and 90 meters, like we're accustomed to seeing it. We remove the M13. You can kind of see how the Grau stacks up. Not particularly good. As soon as you hit 50 meters, the TTK is kind of slow. Not that great. And that's why I think the M4 is probably the all-around best option, especially if you can get a good handling of it. It's reliable. The chest shot TTK is the same as the limb. The only difference is headshot with all these 5.56 weapons. That's where the AMAX kind of suffers a little bit. If you go ahead and drop this to like stomach or something like that, the TTK is nowhere near as good for the AMAX, and it falls off pretty hard. You can kind of see it right here. It still does well at range just because it's broken, but it's a little bit hard to use, so people struggle with it. So at the end of the day, you got to use what works best for you. But the kilo is not even close to the top of the list. There's at least, the M4, the AMAX, the Ram as being better Modern Warfare weapons. And that doesn't even include the stuff like the Stoner or whatever that you want to use. The Bruin, the PKM that offer a little bit more damage and better TTKs at range. So you kind of just got to pick and choose what makes the most sense for you and your loadout. I wouldn't recommend necessarily the kilo, even after some of these weapon balancing changes. If they lowered the shots to kill from 14 down to 12 or 13, I'd be a huge fan. But with it being as bad as it is on that end, you will dominate in that 86 meter range. Beyond that, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, especially against anything that anyone else is using. As we saw, the KDs don't do too well. So hopefully you guys did enjoy the video, learn something new. It did not get buffed. If you want to find that things out for yourself, anytime you think it is, it takes about 5 minutes to find out, hey, what's the damage? Compare it to the damage values in true game data, and you got the perfect there, because he has the data for mostly almost all the weapons. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, learned something new. If you did, please do me a favor, hit the like button. If you're brand new, want to find your way back, double check, make sure you subscribe with notifications on. Appreciate all the support on the channel. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.